Hello again. Welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Celestial Journey. So there wasn't an episode last week, reason being I was just busy on here building and stuff like that, and getting some things together, and I just didn't get a chance to get an episode recorded out. I was actually originally just going to do a build episode, but then the day came and gone, and I didn't get done with it. So I do apologize about that, but I have been busy on here working, and I've been building out a bit of this and just pushing back this wall of water because we have hit the ocean at this point. So you can see some stuff kind of coming together off in the distance. A lot of it's still very much work in progress, but it is starting to kind of somewhat come together. A lot of detail work still has to be added. I've added some, but not much at all. But if we come through, you can see that I've kind of decided on a flat roof for this building. This is, of course, where a lot of our thaumcraft infusion based stuff is. Not infusion stuff, our alchemy, our aspect stuff. That's, yeah. our aspect building down here. I decided to go with a flat roof, so this actually connects over to this large structure. Now, this structure has no purpose at the moment. It's actually going to connect down into a lower structure that sits below it as I bring this floor down, because the floor here is going to be substantially lower than this floor, and this building is going to be somewhat kind of submerged and down into the stone to some degree. So this will be the primary access point, and we're going to use an arcane elevator that goes down into this building. But you can see that the prison has been brought out a bit. And you can actually see this is over here. This is where the back end of the cells are. So I've got to finish bringing all this over, but this is where the back end of the cells are. And so we'll start building out the outside of the prison, aside from just this one wall that sits here. We'll start building out the outside of the prison. And I decided this stone wall, this stone ceiling is actually going to go up a little bit. Because I was bringing it down at a fairly sharp angle, but I want to bring it back up because, I mean, we're already, like, where I'm flying right now is Y43. I need to bring it up. Yeah, we'll just deal with the ocean. So you can see out here we have come out only to this point, which isn't too bad, but we are steadily making progress out into the ocean. And if we take a look, this is actually something that's really cool. If we take a look here, this is what it looks like from Journey Map, just at this level. So it'll change if we go down a bit further, but you can see a lot of like stuff starting to come together. Now over here, I've added a couple a random structure. This is actually a peat mummy cage down in there. So I've put a couple peat mummies and just a decorative repeller down inside of here, and then a spreader just kind of spewing this gas down in here. This is actually an energy barrier. I did make this craftable from the Between Lands. Now, of course, there is a different energy barrier, one that has kind of the particles and things like that. I decided on this one because the particle one, whenever I was playing around with it in my test world, it did cause a little bit of lag when used in large numbers due to the particles that are coming off that. Just FPS lag. Of course, turning particles off would fix it, but I don't want to turn particles off, so I decided to go with this energy barrier instead. It's a bit more friendly. Now, if we head down right here, you can see I have went ahead and flooded this section, though I am going to add some detail stuff down in the water, as well as probably a couple lurkers. I want some lurkers up there too, but I've got to finish the water streams before I put in lurkers. Otherwise, I worry that my lurkers are going to end up getting stuck somewhere, or some weird place. So I haven't done that yet. And these two are name tagged. You could say we have Huang and Chin. It's a very, very obscure reference. So if anybody gets it, no, you're screaming. Even though you're not making any noise. It's so strange. But if anybody gets the reference, you'll have to let me know down in the comments. It's a very, very, very obscure reference. that most people probably won't have the slightest idea about, I imagine. So, but let's see, down here, this building is pretty much the same at the moment. I've got to rearrange everything, but of course we're waiting on a lot of the components that we need to rearrange all of this, so I haven't bothered rearranging it just yet. I have been running a bit of coal, which seems to still be pumping out. Looks like we don't have a jar for Ignis. I have filled a jar with Ignis. Okay. Let me go ahead and put a label there, a label there, a label there. We're going to be using this stuff today. Let's see, I'm going to need 16. So let's just go ahead and get 16 coal. I don't know that I'll have enough. I think where I'm going to be lacking is Perdito, I believe. Maybe. Yeah, I'll be lacking Perdito actually for sure. But let's go ahead and throw this in there. We're going to make some aluminum. So it's going to start crafting that. And how much? It's 5 Perdito, so that's actually not too bad. I'll run some more cobble and get that made. But we're going to start running some aluminum through there. And then up here, I've started kind of working on this. There's actually between stone down there. Just all the water has flooded. I've been using an open blocks sponge to kind of clean some of this up. I was doing it. It was actually extremely slow at first clearing for this because I was trying to clear and keep all the water, you know, back and kind of build and keep the water pushed back. Finally, I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to try anymore because I've got to deal with so much water, and it was taking me so long to push this back the way I was doing it because I was trying to be really OCD about it and like, okay, I don't want to have water flowing through the base. Finally, I said, okay, I'm just going to build a between stone level, and I'm going to push it back, which I did discover that the builder's wand will not cover water, or will not displace water. So I had to make one of these, Extra Utilities builder's wands. The creative one, unfortunately, is not craftable within this pack. That's fine. Even if it was, it would probably be later in the pack than right now anyways. But so I just brought all this back as a solid between stone layer. Between stone's easy enough, of course, for us to farm. Brought this back and then just displaced all the water with the sponge, and it did make it a bit quicker, even though this is taking a while. So that's definitely sped up the process, just not even worrying about it. Just push that back and keep going. Now over here, you will notice that this structure here, you could probably guess it's been laid out for infusion. And I was looking, and the largest infusion, just a quick look, I didn't even look through everything, with the quickest look, I noticed 21 items was the largest infusion that I spotted just with a quick look. So I went ahead and I placed out 22 infusion pedestal spots. Now this first infusion altar that we're going to build, this is going to be our manual one. This is one that is not going to be set up for automation. This is going to be one where we can pop into this building, grab the jars that we need, move them over. This one's not going to be set up long term for automation whatsoever. This is a very controlled area where we can control what jars it has access to and just different things like that. Our automated system is going to be connected then later to a automated entire system where jars are created here and there's all the essentials moved over and all that stuff, which we'll get into a bit later. But this one, I wanted to do a manual one, and that way we really don't have to change anything as we get the automated system in place, right? We can leave things as they are and just have one that's long-term maybe somewhat decorative. Originally I was thinking about putting fences around that, like rails around this, and having it kind of off on like this, I don't know, raised area of the base. But then I decided I want a building here. Of course, we're moving kind of more into the city proper, so we're adding a bit more buildings through this area. But yeah, so before we set this up though, one thing I want to do, if we take a look at the runic matrix, let's find ourselves a really easy infusion to do. Something that doesn't take many items and is craftable for us, because there's one thing that I want to research that I don't currently have researched. And I'd like to go ahead and just get this out of the way. Something like this would be great. Terra V crystal, Salus Mundus, seeds. Yeah, that sounds good. We're going to be working in this room in one of the upcoming episodes because I've been putting it off because I haven't, I've been using the stuff but not in crazy large amounts, but we're going to be tackling this room before too long, I promise. So there's our Molybdenum, and there's our Salus Mundus. And then we're going to pop out of the base and just go out somewhere, away from the base, of course. I got my eye of the flugel. Okay, so we're going to come out just a ways out from the base, because this is going to make a fair amount of flux, and we don't really want this too close. This little island looks quite nice. So what we're going to do, let's go ahead and first up we're going to build out our altar, and it's going to be like, is it arcane stone on the bottom? I think it is. And then the bricks on top. I could be wrong. And then our runic matrix there. And then let me grab our caster gauntlet. That is not right. Is it bricks on the bottom then? Is that what it is? No, it's just straight up arcane stone 100%. Okay. Back in 1.7 it took bricks. But I guess that's no longer the case. Oh, we need Salus Mundus to form it. Okay, I was thinking it was the caster's gauntlet. Alright, one second. I'm just going to make a note of where we're at. Yeah, I mean, I've got Salus Mundus here, but I'd have to still remake it, right, for the craft. So let's just warp on home. This stuff's easy enough to craft. And there we go. There's our Salus Mundus. And I noticed I've actually got some aluminum in my bag, so we've got plenty for what I want to do. So we don't have to worry about that. But now let's go ahead and pop back out to here. And basically what I want to do is I just want to get one more research for infusion instability. I couldn't remember at first whenever I was going through all this stuff. I couldn't remember if it was from having an unstable infusion or if we could just research it, but it's the unstable infusion. I'm assuming because we haven't gotten it yet, so I think we have to get an unstable infusion. There's a couple of researches, of course, as you've noticed, that are just tied to doing bad things, right? Let's go ahead, form that. Boom, there we go. And now we'll go ahead and turn this on. Now, right now, it's going to be very unstable because it's going to try to craft this, but it has no essential whatsoever. It's not going to like this. So let's go ahead. We'll get that crafting. And, of course, it's going to be trying to draw this essential. It can't do it. So now you're going to notice instability starting to build up. It's unstable. It broke an item, which made it go from dangerously unstable to just unstable because it did something bad. It vented its frustration. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Salus Mundus off because we don't really have to waste it right here. We just want this to be dangerously unstable. And we should, after a little bit, yeah, right here, Infusion Stabilization. We're going to need to get a vial of Vidium and some redstone. That's fine. But at this point, we can go ahead and just break this off. Because, oh, there's an idea. I can actually make those pedestals stay, it looks like. Because it doesn't break the multi-block whenever that's broken off. That's interesting. Very, very interesting. I guess I should have went over to the flux area. And I do have flux flow. I'm probably going to wait this out because it's not something I really want to run through the base. Because we're going to start kind of having like flux diarrhea a little bit. Basically is what's going to happen. And I'd rather not take this into the base, truth be told. Okay, the flux flow is gone. So I'm going to go ahead and warp on home now. And we're going to go set this up in its proper spot. And actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and let's pull up just Infusion real quick. And there's the Infusion Speed and Infusion Cost Stones. I want to go ahead and go for a Cost Stone, which basically just means that whenever we start doing infusions, You know, you have your Essentia costs, like for example, this right here takes 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, 25. Well, if we have infusion cost stones, it's gonna make the whole process take a little bit longer as far as time goes. But it's gonna decrease the cost of the Essentia that it has to put into it. And having 4 of them, I don't remember exactly how much it's going to decrease the cost, but it's going to be a decent amount. I mean, this may drop to only taking 15 of these aspects, for example, as opposed to taking 25. There is the Speed Stone, which is okay. I'm not really worried about just pumping items out. I know it's a big pack, and there's things that take a lot of items. I know that. But I don't think it's going to be that important because we can just build, right? Time, to me, time is not a factor whatsoever. But bringing that cost down is going to help us out a lot, I think. Because honestly, we've got so much to build on here, I don't care how long things take. This is really, to me, this is more of just kind of a build series. We're building something big, more so than a progression series. So I'm really not too worried about that. Let's go ahead and grab this alumentum. And we'll grab this. I have 12 in here. That will be fine. And I've got arcane stone aplenty on me. And let's go ahead, we'll pop over and get 4 diamond blocks. So we'll just say 36 diamonds. We'll get these crafted out. Okay, now I'm not going to be able to craft all of these at once because they are quite expensive on V cost. We can get an 8% discount with what we've got on us, so we'll go ahead and craft a couple of these. And actually, while that's refilling, let's go ahead and pop on over, and I'm just going to drop these down. Now, these go under your pedestals, the things that go on the corners. These are going to go under that. So we'll go ahead and take our cost stones, and you can mix and match if you want, but I'm going just straight up cost stone. We're going to get the cost down as much as possible. Yeah, let's go ahead and grab that, and we'll go ahead and grab that. Okay. And I'm going to fix my armor back. I feel naked without my Terra Steel, to be honest. Alright, and then we're going to do our pedestals. So we'll just go ahead and just build these out as such. Runic matrix there, and then we'll go ahead and get this built. So Salus Mundus, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-bum. There we go. We have our infusion set up, and then what does it take? Rune of Fire. I think that's why I only made 8 of them before. That's fine. I'd like to make at least 1 more of these, but we'll see. Yeah, I'd really like to have at least 1 more. For at least 8 infusion slots. Yeah, give me a second. I think I've got some runes of fire, though. And then it was, I want to get these, the ancient pedestals. But I'm going to make this stuff craftable. There is some benefits, though. That's the only thing. There is some benefits to these. I can't remember what it is. And honestly, I may just use these for decor. Yeah, I might just make Ancient Stone and the Eldritch Stone craftable because it's not craftable in this pack. Normally, it's supposed to be intended for structures that were never added to thaumcraft, of course. It was supposed to be intended for those, and it was never implemented, of course. Yeah, I'll use this. I need to make another Rune of Fire and another Rune of Water also, so that'll be fine. But it was never implemented, and it's kind of up to, pretty much up to pack devs at this point, I think, to implement it, to make it something usable. So, and then I'm going to need a couple dark steel, which is not added, but I do want to use it more than anything really just for building purposes. So we may not use it around our altars. Keep the standard ones because that's what everyone would actually have access to, and then add recipes for the others, the other stone types, and then use these for decor. Would work. And I'll release an update before too long with some updated recipes and things. And especially now we're moving into thaumcraft, so I'm going to be making some recipes for some of this uncraftable stuff. But there we go. There's our first 8 pedestals. And now what I want to do, now that we've got that in place, let's go ahead and knock out this. We need the vial of Vidium and redstone. That's easy. Vidium, of course, we'll just grab that. We've got plenty of Vidium Essentia. And now we can research Infusion Stabilization. So that's for making our redstone relays, and then we're going to have to make our stabilizers. What do they take in this pack? Not terrible. A little bit involved, but not terrible. And of course, we won't need the stabilizers for our very first crafts, but we will need them. What I'm probably going to do, I don't know if I'll worry about the stabilizer. Yeah, I probably should, I guess. And now we're going to start working on stability at this point. We'll get our redstone inlay and everything set here shortly. Okay, I went ahead and cut out some footage just because, for time's sake, because basically I started working on stabilization, and I did skulls down here, some wither skulls, and then I had skeleton skulls, and it only went up to 0.75 stability, so I was like, okay, well maybe I can't do it that way. And then I tried candles, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's still not going up. And I kept messing with it, and then it was like, I hit it with the caster's gauntlet, and that's how you have to update it. So I ran around basically in circles messing with it, and I was like, it's not updating. And then I was like, oh yeah, because I've got to update it with the caster's gauntlet. Like, for example, if I pull this up and we come up here, now it's a 5.1, right? It doesn't update in real time. You have to basically force an update with the caster's gauntlet, and I was messing around with that for a bit, because I couldn't get my stability up above 0.75. So, but basically all I did was I worked on stabilization, and I went ahead and ran redstone inlay, and I crafted stabilizers and candles, and I popped into the nether to go farm rotten flesh because we were out of it. But of course, for the candles, they're super easy to craft in mass. Magic tallow, of course, being rotten flesh with 1 point of Ignis, and then candles crafting 3 at a time. So, but yeah, so anyways, the redstone inlay, of course, make sure and touch your arcane pedestals with it. And I've got basically 2 segments. We could connect these over, but then I've got 3 stabilizers on each side. I may eventually add more stabilizers, but in all truthfulness, these are more for decoration than anything. They won't be used a ton until the highly unstable stuff, and I can still boost the stability rating for this. This is just basically a few different candles. I did about 20 of each color. There's a little bit less yellow. I think there's only 16 yellows, but I could throw out more candles and more colors. Basically, when it comes to stability, each different item is going to give you, like, you know, so much stability, and they do have diminishing returns. So the more of the same thing you do, you're going to get diminished returns. Now, it does seem like heads and skulls and stuff all count as the same thing, whereas the candles, every different color counts as something new. So that's why there's more candles than there are skulls, because they just weren't having huge impact. Now, I will probably go ahead and finish out these walls with skulls, and I've also got to see about if Nitor steel counts, and if floating candles from fancy lamps, if those count. I'm not for sure. I'm gonna test those in a test world, but we'll find out. But at the moment, a 5.21 gain per cycle is actually pretty good, I think. So we're gonna go with that. And with the stabilizers, of course, when you first place them down, they are going to create a little bit of flux in the area. If we take a look, I'll have a little bit of flux. I've got 28 in this chunk. So they are going to create a little bit of flux, but basically every time that something goes wrong with your infusion, like something would break or get knocked off the pedestal, or flux will get created, instead a stabilizer is going to take that effect and basically negate it, but it is going to throw some flux into the air. So you are going to create some flux with your infusions, but if you have really high stability, really high gain, you're probably not going to be using the stabilizers a lot. Me, I just like the redstone inlay and the way it looks around the altar, so I wanted some stabilizers for just decor. And bear in mind that it is important that you make your stabilizers and stuff symmetrical like everything else. Otherwise, you're going to get a big debuff to your gain and your stability and everything. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I just went ahead and cut that footage because it was like, it would have ended up being like 20 minutes of me messing with this. And so I was like, yeah, whatever. Because they've changed the system for stability so many times that I can never remember which one's the right way now, even though the mod's not being updated anymore. So, but yeah, so now we're really ready to start our very first infusion. So if we pull up and you'll notice we did complete these 3 quests here. Those are knocked out. But what do we want to make with our infusion? Honestly, I am thinking of making a Causality Collapser. I'm thinking so because this would be very beneficial for us. It is an instability very high, so we'll get to see how well our runic matrix does. I think it's going to handle this without issue. It's going to take 2 aluminum and 2 nitor, a morphic resonator and a V resonator. And then we're going to need 2 blocks of redstone. We're going to need some TNT. And let me go ahead and just craft that up. And then we just need 50 alienus and 50 vidium. Now bear in mind that our costs are actually going to be reduced. We're not going to need 50 of each. We're going to need a bit less, but we'll find out exactly how much less once we start with the craft. It's still good to just have the required essentia though. Now I think, yeah, I've got alienus. And then we've got our V resonators. Let me go ahead. We're just going to drop our jars down, our alienus and our vidium. And then for the layout, we've got 2 nitor that needs to go down. And so we'll just place a nitor there, aluminum there, and there. We're going to have our morphic resonator and V resonator. And then our blocks of redstone. There. And there. And then our TNT goes in the center. And normally I would suggest that you have a bit extra. So maybe, we've got extra V resonator, but maybe carry an extra morphic resonator, an extra block of redstone, extra nitor, extra aluminum. In this case, I'm not concerned about it. I think we're going to be able to handle this without issue. We're very stable. We're 5.21 gain. We've got 6 stabilizers, 3 on each side. I think this is going to be really overkill. And we will make it, like I said, a bit more gain and a bit more stable a bit later. But let's go ahead and activate this. You can see we needed 46 vidium and 30, or about 40 alienus. So you can see right now we have 5.21 gain per cycle, and we have 0 to 1.6 loss per cycle. So right now our gain is way higher than our loss, which means we're not going to suffer any instability. Because when we have more gain than we have loss possible, that's good. we're not coming out negative at all. Now it is possible the longer it takes to run this, it's going to build up instability and that loss is going to increase. But since we have all the items present, all the V present, we're going to be good. Now once we get into the very unstable, we may need to boost our stuff, but there we go. There is a Causality Collapser. 0 issues whatsoever. Now I'm curious if there are requests for Causality Collapsers. I'm not seeing any. Not seeing any at all. So that's fine. Let's go ahead. Let's take our Causality Collapser out. And we're going to go ahead and use this today. And right over there is our flux area. Now if I recall, there is a tear already opened over there. Okay, bad news. My footage stopped because basically my storage for it got filled up, and I didn't notice it until I was editing the footage, and I was like, wait a second, where's the whole back end of this, like the whole back half of this, because you know it was all in the last take, and yeah, it bugged on me. I apologize. So I have already made void metal. Basically, once you get void metal, make sure and scan it, because it's going to allow you to get the delving into the Eldritch research. And then I went ahead and we unlocked these 3 things, or these 4 things, as well as void metal, golemancy, and the void metal Essentia smelter. You're gonna have to get and scan void metal plates for that, but you know those are fairly easy to make. So I do apologize, but basically take your Causality Collapser and try to aim it at something, because these are not solid. Things can move through them. Of course, they do deal damage to you, but aim at something solid near it. So we're going to go ahead and throw it there, and as long as it explodes in the nearby vicinity of it, it's going to break it. Oh, we got lucky this time. That's awesome. And we got a primordial nodule. Now this, can we fix it? No, we can't. In some packs you can repair it, but we can't repair that one. And you'll notice that another one spawned right there. I'm going to go ahead and break it, but you will notice I did get some void seeds from that, which is great. So let's go ahead and hit that one. And there we go. There's some more void seeds. Can't really have too many of these at the moment. And there we go. Another one spawned up right there. Our primordial nodule, of course, we can use this to craft up the Voidseer Pearl, the Primal Crusher, the Blank Greater Focus, and most importantly, the Advanced Alchemical Construct. Now, let's go ahead and warp on home. To turn this into void metal, you're just going to drop it into your thaumatorium. You're going to drop it in here, Vidium and Metallum, to craft this. So we'll go ahead and get that running. And that's going to start making more void metal for us. So, good stuff. We've got a bit of void metal building up. I would like to, before too long, shoot for this, because it's actually not that bad to craft. I know the Draconic Evolution stuff is a bit worrisome, but it's actually not bad. Draconium blocks, we've got that. Nether stars, we've got that. All this stuff is negligible and easy. You know, all that stuff's easy. But we're going to have to get a few things up here. Not too bad once we start into Witchery, which we're going to have to... I was looking, and to actually unlock Witchery tab, we're going to have to make Androsium. This is where we're going to start, in one of the coming episodes, we're going to be automating all of our basic Britannia stuff, as well as like Salus Mundus. I'd like to go ahead and get that automated. And we need to get our Wither you know, set up to be automated as well. But we'll do that after the prison. I think in the next episode, the next thing I'd like to tackle is going to be Golems. Now that we've got, you know, all this stuff unlocked, Golems aren't going to be an issue to push into now that we have infusion crafting, and we can start setting up our automatic cake production, which then will get fed over to the prison to run the prison. Then we can start spawning mobs and all that fun stuff. So it's all kind of coming full circle, right? And we're gonna move back into Britannia for a bit, and then once we finish Golems and get the prison running, that means all those materials are coming in, and then we're gonna push a lot of automation. We're gonna automate Salus Mundus. We're gonna automate all of the rest of our Britannia stuff. Probably go ahead and start automating our thaumcraft stuff as well. Go ahead and get this whole building set up for automation, which will be great. So we'll probably push into that before too long. But yeah, I think next episode we're going to start pushing into Golems. And we've already kind of got the building built to some degree, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. So we'll go ahead and push into that in the next episode. So at least we did get our primordial nodule from that one. But I do apologize about the footage bugging. I always hate whenever that happens. It makes it harder on me, and it makes it, you know, worse for you guys too, because yeah, kind of have to get everything caught back up, and we didn't really get to catch up in real time, but just know we finished these 2 quests here, so no biggie. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already, to stay updated with when new videos come out. And next episode, we'll start into our Golem Cake Factory. So I hope you guys join me for that. And until next time, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.